Welcome back to the podcast. It is Saturday, November 15th. My name is Ken Matthews. I'm wearing a suit today because the last couple of days, I think I had on a sweatshirt and I had on a t-shirt at one point. It was a nice t-shirt. I just want to make it clear that I always wear pants on this podcast. This is not CNN, okay? You don't ever have to worry about me not wearing pants around an intern or on Zoom or you know what I mean? That's the rich and powerful. I don't do that. Anyway, I want to talk a little bit about, you know, sometimes in the morning, uh, I post first, post a few things. I like to see who's saying what just to see if anything has changed. I usually go to digital to see if anything's changed. Usually, digital has things quicker than mainstream legacy media. So maybe there was something changed. Someone's been arrested. Someone's in jail. Uh, we started attacking Venezuela soon, probably, but not for a while. And then I made some comments on social media, which I do from time to time. And it saddens me that people are so out of touch. So I'm not going to do what most people do to you or me when we speak the truth or we bring up something that is so crazy to them. They just don't want to tolerate it. I'm not going to go down that road and call people names. And that's how it works. That's how it works. I even had someone, I was talking about Epstein today. Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about it. And, you know, if it's too much, I understand. If you think we need to just move past the powerful, rich men and women, mostly men of the country and of the world, doing whatever they want to little children, selling them like pieces in a puzzle, like a commodity, that's all right. Because it's never been dealt with. When did Epstein, his first arrest was 1995, right? And who was arrested and convicted over that? Well, Jeffrey never was. I mean, he was in 95, but then somehow he slipped on a banana peel. So there's been one arrest, okay? Now, here's why I'm bringing this up, and here's why some people were melting down on social media, which I kind of expect, especially on Facebook. Facebook is not a place for discourse or debate or anything like that. Discourse, debate. What's the other word I was looking for? You know how I like alliteration. Dialogue. Yeah. That's no place for that. That's no place for that. Like if you're just sitting around and maybe it's just the ebb and flow of posting that I find so ridiculous. Because so much of it is bots and so much of it is done by people that they're not on there to find answers or find the truth. They're on there to take more selfies of their vacation. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes I forget that, you know, if you throw something out there like, what did I say? Something along the lines of, this is probably it for MAGA as we know it. I mean, I told you that. When did I tell you that? I told you that the day Donald Trump made fun of the MAGA people, of which I am one of the originals. What does that mean? Does that mean I'm a MAGA OG? Is that how they say it? I said, what did I say that day to the people of this podcast that I'm proud of? And that's one nice thing about only having like 9 or 10 people on your podcast, subscribing that care. One nice thing about it is they remember it. I don't have to say, oh, I said this on a radio station, because it's all, you have it. You can look it up. And I remember saying this was the worst political move President Donald Trump ever made. And if he doesn't turn this around in the next week, it's over. It's over. It will be a feeding frenzy on Donald Trump and Epstein because he made that asinine comment. Are you still talking about Epstein? We need to move on. No, sorry. And it's disappointing because I didn't want to have to be in this position. I said I would be in this position years ago. I supported Donald Trump 2015, one of the first people on the radio in Pennsylvania to endorse him. This is when a whole bunch of other people were still in the race. And some of my hardcore cult-like neocon friends were saying, "Are you kidding? You got Marco Rubio, you got Jeb Bush and Ted Cruz in there and Rick Perry, and you're going to endorse Donald Trump? You're an idiot." I said, "Well, he's going to win." And there's a movement happening in the country, and outsiders are going to have a better chance now than ever before. Of course, it helps if they're billionaires. But because one thing that politicians do not pick up on quickly enough is what the threshold of the American people is. They'd like to think they do. They like to think they're smarter than you. They believe that you're sitting there in your mortgage to the hilt house, you're heading to your second job, and they like to believe that when Fox News says, "Well, the economy's going great. I mean, we've got an increase in wages. We've got more domestic production." They like to believe that you believe that crap. Now, I don't have as much a hard time with that crap as I do with what's happening with Epstein, what's happening with Charlie Kirk, the AI farms. And I believe there's a report, just to give you an idea over the last 2 days, because if you haven't seen me much, I've been busy. Yeah. Busy getting to the truth. So I guess, do I accept politicians exaggerating and bending the truth on certain topics? Yes. Yes, I do. They all do it. I'm not thrilled that Trump does it, but he's a salesman. He's a businessman. He's a negotiator. So he does bring in hyperbole from time to time. Everything he does is the best thing ever. We've kind of accepted that. Okay. So I do accept that. Just like I accept Joe Biden saying, I got more votes than anybody else. And okay. But when it gets down to things like that would put you or me in prison for life, then I have a problem with the lies. So I guess the biggest problem I'm having now is, and I told people that this would happen, I said, as long as President Trump, as the guy I supported 3 times, okay, as long as he tells me the truth, and then people say, "Well, he lied to you about the economy." You lied. Well, yeah, I'm talking about as long as he tells the truth about right and wrong and justice. If he wants to exaggerate the job numbers, he's going to. Everybody does. Every politician lies. Now, is there a difference between a white lie and a regular lie? Well, not according to some people. However, I made it very clear. I'm on the Trump train until Trump starts lying to me and covering up things that he promised he would expose. And he's there now. So rather than, do you ever watch how Mark Levin gets all pissed off? Some of it's acting, some of it's fake. Some of it is, I don't know what's happening to Mark. The way he's attacking people and really going off the rails on this Zionist thing. And anyway, I don't want to do that. I never wanted to be the guy that does that. So I'm just going to say, and maybe it's because I just showered and shaved and I'm in a suit and I am wearing pants, that I should conduct myself more professionally. So I'm going to conduct myself much more professionally than a Mark Levin or a Ben Shapiro or any number of people on Fox. And the most professional thing you can do is tell the truth. So where do we even start? Once Trump started lying about the Epstein files, now this is where people melted down on Facebook because, again, if you are a blind follower of anything, the meltdown happens like that. Okay. I'm not a blind follower. I was crystal clear in 16, in 20, and in 24. I don't know Trump personally. I don't golf with Trump. I will never have that. I'll never see that level of wealth where I will never have to worry about money, and my kids won't, and my grandkids won't, and their grandkids won't. So that puts me and Mr. Trump in a very different situation, okay? Because his comments, his behavior can totally rock your world or my world, unless you're also a billionaire and trillionaire that's hanging out with Trump, like one of the tech bros who's worth 300 million bucks or worth 4 billion or whatever. Okay. But most of us aren't. All right. Most of us aren't. So I get excited as I did when I went to the rallies because they're fun and they're goofy. And I think one thing I've always loved about President Trump, and I mentioned this on the air on more than one occasion, and people totally agreed with me. He's a smart ass and he is very funny, and he has good comic timing. And there were a handful of other people that had good comic timing in politics. Okay. But I made it very clear to people that were listening to me, and I also made it clear to several people I know in Washington. I said, if Trump tries to bury the Epstein thing, he's finished politically, and the midterms will be a disaster. And if he doesn't get a grip on things like H-1B visas and the price of eggs, just things like that. But the big things were Epstein, Charlie Kirk. Okay. Now you may have noticed Tucker has done a series on, and, good for him, but it's just like before. I did that like within a month of Butler, Pennsylvania. I was talking about some of the things he's talking about. Now, he didn't used to say this because it sounds petty. It sounds like, well, he's famous and you're not. I get it. I'm just saying that the mainstream people are always late to the party because they have more to risk. And that's why you never hear any of this on legacy media anymore. You hear it. Now you're hearing a lot of the Epstein stuff on both both conservative and liberal platforms, just like you hear the Israel stuff as well. Okay. But I remember talking about Thomas Crooks, I think his name is. And he was not just a run-of-the-mill lone shooter, just like the Charlie Kirk guy isn't either. Now, everybody's holding back on that because they've been excoriated by Kash Patel. Kash Patel has come out. Trump has come out. Bongino has come out. All of Fox News has come out. A lot of people have come out and said, look, stop questioning this Charlie Kirk thing, you crazy conspiracy theorist. Anybody that critically thinks, we don't like that. So I don't know who you're polling or what you're buying. I don't know what it is. I don't know who in the hell is telling you that Trump is killing it right now. He's on fire. The economy's awesome. People want us to invade Venezuela. They want us to get rid of Maduro. People want us in Gaza. They want us to attack Iran. They're glad we're still in the Ukraine. I don't know who the hell's telling you that, but that's not the reality on the ground. And I understand because I don't have a degree from George Washington University or Harvard or Yale, and I haven't golfed with the right people. I never have. I don't golf. That the credibility coming from someone on the street that just listens, observes, researches, and reads, and has been pretty much a law-abiding citizen, just like you. The majority of us are law-abiding citizens, And there's something about it. And I've seen this before. You see it throughout. And anybody who's gone to college, you've seen it for sure. You folks that have not gone to college, and many of you have done very well, like my parents. Okay, you see it there's also a level of it when you go to college. It's kind of funny because if you go to a college that isn't like among the elitist colleges, there's no difference between you and someone who just graduated from high school and got a great job in HVAC. That's how it is. That's how it is in Washington, D.C. You know, it's all if you don't say the right college in Washington, D.C., it's almost like it people look at you like, oh God, I can't believe you even said that out in public. And it's funny. I think it's funny. I couldn't give a rat's butt about it. Seriously. GPAs and whatever. I look at what did you do last week? You're only as good as what you did last week. There was a saying in radio among some of what I would call the great broadcasters, most of whom are now dead, that were mentors to me early in my career and even recently. And the saying went something like, you're only as good as your last show. And that's true. That's true. And if your last show sucked, and sometimes that happens, well, then you gotta do a better show the next time. You cannot keep coming in to work and saying, well, yeah, I know I had like 7 bad shows in a row, but remember 2 years ago when I did this? Nobody cares. Nobody cares at all. That's the reality check. And that's how I was raised. I was raised that way. The last thing you do, that's what people judge you on. The last thing you say, that's what people remember. Most of the time. It's a little different now because 40, 50 years ago or more, they didn't have the technology. So you could say something 3 years ago and it could be awesome and it could be making the rounds in the digital world and it's awesome. Or you can say something stupid. And that's one thing about, it's funny because I stopped listening to my shows a long time ago because for a while there were so many online and sometimes I'd hit it out of the park and sometimes it was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that even made it on the air. How did that happen? And you always judge yourself harder. Anybody who does anything, you know, if you want to do a good job, you're always going to judge yourself harder, whether you're cleaning a floor or pouring a foundation or whatever. Okay. Where am I going with all this? Well, here's where I'm going with all this. I made it clear that once President Trump starts consistently lying to me as one of his biggest supporters, then I'm going to have to step back and say, okay, you know, I really don't care if you're bombastic. Didn't have a problem with it. I never had a problem with that comment, grab them by the you know what. I just thought that was ridiculous. I think men that keep using that as an excuse, I think they sound like complete idiots. Yeah, you voted for a guy that said grab him by the... Shut up. Now it's different, you see. See, there's a big difference between saying grab him by the blank or I like girls or I like pageants or wow, that is an attractive woman. Very big difference between that and going after anyone who wants to expose the Epstein list. So here's my theory on that, and I've brought it up before. And I said this even at the very beginning when people tried to rope Epstein in 2020, and it surfaced a little in 16, 17, and then it surfaced a lot recently. I always said, and now it's more challenging to believe this. Now, if Donald Trump is your dad, like if you're Barron, I could understand you getting a little pissed about this. You know, like, hey, watch what you say about my dad. But anybody else, what the hell are you talking about? You make yourself look like a fool on social media when you attack somebody who has a simple question about the elected and or paid politician that represents them. It looks foolish. It looks almost cultish. You know, it's amazing how this stays with people. The programming, the advertising. And I'm sure there's already people that are thinking, I can't believe he's trashing Trump like this. I haven't trashed Trump once. People don't want to hear it, though. They don't want to hear, what if I was wrong? What if I was wrong? What if we were wrong? What if Trump gets elected for the third time and he still hasn't released the JFK files or the Epstein files? He still hasn't arrested Hillary or any of the Bidens. What if? Well, here we are. We're heading into Thanksgiving 2025. Stop blaming the messenger. Believe me, I can assure you, I've never been more frustrated as I learn more. And we just have to refocus and figure out how we're going to save the country. That's our options. I heard someone talking last night, I forget the show, and they said, well, what would be the next option? Who would be the next Trump? What would be, and people are talking about JD Vance, and I'm going to tell you right now, if I don't think Trump's going to get a handle on the Epstein files. I think that's done. I mean, it's coming out and it's not going to look good. And whatever happened is going to look 10 times worse, which tells me if it was something that wasn't that big of an issue, you would have shared it. Number one, to all the people that tell me on a regular basis, snap out of it, move on, stop attacking Trump. I'm going to attack anybody that associates themselves with the caliber of people that are in this Epstein story, because I wouldn't, and I'm sure you wouldn't. So I'm trying to figure out how much further we need to accept behaviorally from Mr. Trump. What is this podcast going to cause? It's going to eliminate the rest of any future I have speaking for MAGA groups or pro-Trump groups, and I know that. But before, when I was speaking to those groups, and before when I was getting hired to speak to different organizations, I was all in. It wasn't even a matter of being convinced. I was convinced that I made the right decision. And up until Trump made that comment, I'll be honest with you, and maybe maybe there's other things there that we don't see, but I'm just going to be honest with you. Until he made that comment, I was like, okay, we gotta blow up these drug boats. I get it. I'm a big fan of blowing up cartel members. I love blowing up cartel members. I never have, but if I could. I mean, my kids play all the games. I watch them playing the video games. These knuckleheads in their 20s hanging out at my house playing video games on a Friday night, blowing up cartels, blowing up bad guys. I'd love that. Now we're thinking about invading Venezuela? What? We have boots on the ground in Gaza? Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Mr. Trump, what's up? What's happening? So I know what's at stake. I know what's at stake, and it pains me. Because when you, even just the way I'm talking now, which is not insulting or condescending or angry. In fact, I'm having a wonderful weekend. I have a long weekend this weekend, so you're going to get a lot of content, which is going to be awesome for the people that decide to stick around. I've lost subscribers over this. And, when it first started to happen, I was like, should I talk about it? Should I? Yeah, why not? I mean, people came to me to get the truth. I had someone posted today that I don't even think this is the same Ken Matthews, because I demanded that President Trump make public the Epstein files. Where have you been? Where have you been? I was one of the first people in radio to even discuss human trafficking. I've read dozens of books from years back. I talked on the radio about the Republican child sex scandal in 1980, or was it 1990? There was one each year, by the way, in 80 and 90. I was one of the first people to do that. So why all of a sudden would I be zip it up? Let's move on from Epstein. No. And you can always tell because having met people that were involved in that, they don't want to move on. So I guess maybe some people, if it doesn't affect you directly, I get it. But see, it does affect us directly. See, now the president has moved from the, oh, it was no big deal. Remember? Let's go back before that. If I was president, you'd be in jail, to Hillary Clinton. Now, don't get me wrong, but I was hoping that would be my Christmas present for a long time. Ask my former producer in Harrisburg. That's all we could talk about. Oh, it's going to be so cool. We did these memes about orange is the new whatever, and it was great. It was great. And then we realized, wait a minute, he's not going to put anybody in jail who's in the club, whether they're Republican or Democrat. Club members don't go to the jail, not if they're at the level that the president's at. And I thought, well, I'll roll with the punches on that. I'm just a middle class dude, so I don't have jets and planes and 30 houses and all that crap. Sorry, I don't mean to say that word. All that stuff. And most of us don't. But you have to admit, it does have an impact on you. If you have the ability to never run out of money, I would imagine that takes a little stress off you. Okay? So the one thing that held all this together, and I continued to give President Trump the benefit of the doubt as we headed into the 22 midterms, and then 24 is, well, I mean, so far, he's proven he seems he's still pro-gun, he's pro-life, pro-capitalism. God knows he was America first, especially that 4 years. That was great. It was great to see people that hated America, just to see them afraid, not persecuted, but just afraid. It was just to see, it was nice for a change to see people that said bad things about America kind of watch their mouth, because for so long, you and I had to watch our mouth. We had to be careful if we said Christ is King, Jesus is my Lord. We had to be careful about that stuff. Marriage is between a man and a woman. We actually had to be careful. We had to watch ourselves. Remember? Well, censorship is coming back. It's just a different bunch of words now. So you better watch out if you say Palestine is a state. Look out. That's coming. Thanks to Trump, by the way. That's something else that really got me upset, the censorship thing. You know how I feel about free speech. So I had to decide. And see, with most people that have attained the level where they have attained, which I haven't attained, but, someone who's been at this news agency or this conservative whatever for 15 or 10 years, they're not stupid. They're going to avoid talking about those issues that are destroying the country. Even if it's happening at the hands of Republicans, they're going to avoid it because they're getting a huge check to do so. Me, I'm not. It'd be great to get a huge check, a nice check. Be good. It would be great. But when you pursue the truth, every day you risk someone going, oh, I can't believe he said that. They don't contact you and say, hey, I was a little confused by that. Do you have proof? No, it's just they're on to something else. And that's how it works. That's how we're programmed. That's how we're programmed. That's why all these people online get called anti-Semites. That's how you shut them up so they don't question Israel. Remember BLM? All those people were called racist. The people that question BLM. You know, this BLM thing's getting out of hand. I mean, I know Black Lives Matter, but do we really need to burn down police stations and hit cops with bricks off bridges? What, are you racist? You see, and after a while, it wears on you because we keep getting further and further from the truth. And my gut already tells me that the midterms is done. And that's when I'm going to get the comments, God, can't you be positive? No, because we've positived our way into this bad situation. It's kind of like when Trump started putting idiots in his cabinet. Again, some of us commented. I remember the first time I commented on Kash Patel, people were like, I can't believe you said that. Said what, for God's sake? You don't know these people personally. Why are you getting so offended? Are you offended that maybe you made a bad judgment call? There's nothing wrong about that. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong if we picked the wrong person here or we made a wrong decision there. It's human nature. You just go, oh, I can't believe I did that. Me too. High five. Let's make a new decision. But there's a whole bunch of people. They're stuck. They're stuck. Nobody was insulting Kash Patel. I said he acted like a juvenile online talking about his love life with his little girlfriend, who we now find out has connections that she shouldn't really have to be that high up, or let me rephrase that, to be in the bed of the director of the FBI. I mean, the handful of people I know in the FBI and the vetting process, which my friend experienced firsthand 30-something years ago, that doesn't fly in the FBI unless you're Kash Patel or unless you're Eric Swalwell or unless you're any number of people in Washington, D.C. You get to break all the rules. You get to make bad decisions personally and professionally, say stupid-ass stuff, and get away with it. You and I don't. So I just started thinking this is ridiculous. Kash isn't my friend. And if he was, I would say, dude, stop making a fool of yourself. Just like with Pam Bondi. I gave Pam Bondi the benefit of the doubt. Nothing's going to happen with Pam Bondi. And the problem is now, the Trump administration has buried itself in this Epstein thing, and it goes far and deep. And it does go to intelligence agencies, both American, UK, and of course, your favorite and mine, Israel. And now he's in it. He's in it. Now, I have numerous photos, just like I had numerous photos with Hunter Biden. But I don't have any photos of Donald Trump doing anything compromising at all. So I keep asking myself, why don't you just show the damn photos? Why don't you show the photos like the one I posted on social media today, which everybody says was fake? And one guy said, what did he say? My God, what the hell's wrong with you? You've gone rogue. Rogue? I don't belong to a military or law enforcement organization where I follow a chain of command for my behavior all day. I'm not going rogue. I'm an individual, independent citizen who happens to be a part of the press, if you want to call it that. There's nothing rogue about posting a picture of Donald Trump with a bunch of teenage girls. He's fully clothed. He's in a suit. They're all fully clothed. They're all smiling. It's no difference than if a bunch of high school seniors went to visit the president, right? Okay. Then what the hell's the problem? What's the problem? You see? So he's either worried about new data on him being exposed, or somebody has my president by the you-know-what. And you know what? That angers me. That angers me. Because think about how powerful President Donald Trump is. Now, think about how powerful the person must be, or the group, or the state, or the individual, or whoever has him by the you-know-what. That's what saddens me. That's the sad part of it. The sad part of it is this is looking more and more true, that maybe someone has something on this guy. Now, the other thing is that same group of people, whoever they may be, they are compromised. And President Trump has seen the material, like the Epstein file. And he's thinking, oh, God, I can't believe my friend so-and-so did that. Or I can't believe my third largest donor did that. This is all hypothetical now, because you're not allowed to critically think anymore. So you got to be real careful. You got to be careful. Someone's going to sue you. You sit around saying, well, what if this? What if that? How dare you? I'm not talking about the idiots that can't keep up on social media. I'm talking about these people get lawyers after you. I mean, Kash Patel's girlfriend is suing the podcaster that alleged that she was a Israeli honeypot or something. I thought it was a funny joke. So what have we learned? Well, you can't say anything about a whole list of things, and you can't joke about a whole other list. So that's another thing that I'm very disappointed in Trump. I thought more free speech would have happened, but it didn't. It just shifted. That's all. More conservatives got to, we got to shoot our mouths off and say what we want and make Nancy Pelosi memes. But when it comes to criticizing Trump or criticizing Bibi Netanyahu you can't. So that's another problem. So there's a lot to process. Anyway, let's take a quick break. I'm going to come right back because I want to get some more coffee or tea. And then we'll start talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene and how I still support her. And I still support Thomas Massie. And how disappointed I am the way Trump went after MTG. MTG was not Nancy Pelosi or Hillary Clinton. MTG stood by Trump. Big time. Big time. So you got to say, if he's throwing MTG under the bus, what do you think he's going to do to you or me? We're just voters. He doesn't even need us anymore. He does not need us anymore. Let's be realistic about that. President Donald Trump does not need another voter for the rest of his life. He's set. And he can pretty much do whatever he wants until January of 2028. Whether we say, wait a minute, Mr. Trump, don't do that. Too bad. That's part of the dynamic. That's part of having faith in people and supporting people, right? But he doesn't need us anymore. And I'm sure he's calculating by whoever he's going to try to oust Marjorie Taylor Greene with, he doesn't need her. Do you remember how Lindsey Graham spoke out his rectum so often? And what a neocon sack of lying man he is. And yet President Trump endorsed him. That doesn't sit well with me. If you're endorsing America Thirdsters or America Fourthsters, or if you're endorsing people that put themselves over God, family, and country, yikes. Oh, yeah, we're coming right back. We're going to talk more about this.